7,000 tons each. It's heavier than the Eiffel Tower, for the record.
And that thing would float?
Yes, because
Like
it was
a boat.
hollow.
Yeah, I heard you say that.
Sorry?
I heard you say that the blocks were hollow.
They were towed from the UK on June 6th. And then when they were in place, they sunk them, filling them with water so they would sink.
Gotcha.
And then it would create,
A bridge.
not a bridge, it
Pier.
would create a barrier, a wave breaker, like here. All the caissons are here to break the waves far away from the shore. Then you had the loading decks, floating loading decks, like wharfs. And then you had those mile-long floating roads. So when they would unload the goods on the loading decks, then they would drive on those floating roads to go to the continent.
Oh, wow. Troop trucks.
Trucks, we say on 10 months they had 2.5 million men unloaded there.
Oh, wow.
500,000 vehicles, about 4 million tons of supply.
So were there Germans on the beach when they were building?
Oh no,
these?
they were defeated.
They were
They were defeated. The Germans were inland.
Gone.
inland, okay.
We had
And
pushed
so
them
we
back.
got to build all that
Yes.
stuff without them coming.
Yes, in fact, on the picture sometimes you see. I don't know if you have any.
Yeah, this was days later, I think.
It was, yes. They built them from June 6th to June 11th, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
okay.
pushed them back.
And again, they had some hydrogen balloons to prevent airstrikes.
That's right.
But there were no airstrikes anyway, because on D-Day the Germans didn't have any more planes. So the balloons were not. In fact, on the record there is one airstrike against Mulberry B. 15 Stukas tried to attack the harbor. 14 of them were shot down, and the last one flee. So no damage was done to the Mulberries by the Germans. However, this one here was totally destroyed on June 19th. But like the one on Omaha was severely damaged, but the British fixed the one they had. Where here it was decided to give it up because the plan was to liberate Cherbourg, which was liberated on the 27th of
And
June.
how far is that from here?
Oh, it's not far, it's like 40 miles.
40 miles.
They liberated on the 27th of June, but the problem is that the Germans totally destroyed the harbor before they gave up.
Cherbourg's south of here, right?
No,
Yeah.
north.
Is it north? Okay.
It's right there on our left.
Okay.
All right, so
The paratroopers, they jumped kind of, what, west of there?
west and east.
West and east, okay.
The airborne troops were actually
101st and 82nd. They
101st and 82nd on the west, and 6th Airborne Division, British Division on the east.
Okay.
The idea again was to prevent counter-attack on the beaches.
That's right. Yep. Come back behind the soldiers and cut them off from the beach.
So we arrived on Omaha, we're on the west flank. On that part of the beach, the 29th Division landed. This is the
Patch.
29th. On the east flank, you had the 1st Division, also known as the Big Red One. The 1st Division was a division of battle-hardened soldiers. They had fought before in Italy. Where here on the west flank, the 29th Division was the National Guard Division.
That's right.
For most of them, they were not trained.
The local police force, basically, for riots in the States.
And this is what they had on their uniform. Does it ring a bell to you?
It's like a piece, like
Yin and yang?
yin
Yeah.
yang.
Yin and yang, absolutely, the symbol of
Wow,
peace.
very good.
Except that yin and yang is black and white normally. This is blue and gray.
Right.
What does it mean to you, blue and gray?
North and
World War,
south.
Civil War,
Civil War, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Because the
United.
29th Division was made of men from Maryland,
south and north.
north, and Virginia, the south. The south.
Yep.
Interesting.
That's good news. I didn't never heard
I
that.
like that.
Did they always fly
The
American
museum for the
flags
Big
here?
Red One
Or was
is
it
in
just
Kentucky.
day?
Always.
Ah.
On that specific spot, yes. Always.
Because McCormick's family, he was in that.
Beautiful beach.
He built that museum.
Yeah.
Paid for it. Property.
It was
So-
pretty bloody on June the 6th.
Yeah.
On D-Day, the road was here. and there were none of those houses because all the houses had been destroyed 4 years before by the Germans, so there would not be any shelter for any hostiles.
The Germans destroyed the houses.
All the houses before, yes,
But what was the reason?
because they didn't want them to be used by the
Allies,
by invaders.
invaders. Yeah.
So they were all destroyed except for one, which I will show to you.
Rommel stayed there.
So these are locals probably on the beach.
Yes, people from around here, yes.
Did they do an air show today?
I think they were doing yesterday on St. Mary's.
Okay.
So the only house that were on the beach is the big villa on the right, Villa des Hortensias, which was used as a restaurant by German officers. But on D-Day, it was also used as a landmark by the troops.
Wow.
A point of reference.
Small one right here.
This one,
The big one.
the big one.
Good shape.
It's a pretty long sector.
The Omaha is the widest landing beach of D-Day. It's about 6 miles wide.
6 miles?
6 miles altogether.
Took the heaviest losses too, did it?
Yeah, they
As
did.
well.
Absolutely.
But you can tell us now how they got their names.
Oh, sure.
Oh, right.
So, for the American sector, Omar Bradley was in charge of finding the names. And Bradley was, was kind of a old-fashioned soldier, and he didn't want to waste too much time on bureaucracy. So he was in his office with 2 young soldiers as the first one.
Well,
Hey son,
would
where are you
you-
from? Me, I'm from Utah. How about you, son? Where are you from? Oh, I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. Okay, Omaha Beach.
Wow.
5 seconds. 5 seconds.
So that was the code word
That's how that
for the
got-
invasion.
It's true. But for the other ones on the British sector, Lord Montgomery was in charge. Montgomery was a different type of soldier.
French?
No, English, Scottish actually.
Okay.
Montgomery was one of those English
Oh
aristocrats.
yeah, Montgomery. Yeah.
Yeah. And he
Monty.
wanted the names to have a meaning. So he decided to go with names for sea animals. So the first one was goldfish, then it was jellyfish and swordfish. But this is the army, so everything gets shortened. So goldfish became gold, jellyfish became jelly, and swordfish became sword.
Cool.
But the Canadians were really unhappy about jellyfish because they said this is going to be history and people will remember Canadians landing in jelly. So they had a meeting, the Canadian officer had a meeting to find another name, and one of them came up with this idea. He said, okay, in private, when I'm with my wife, I call her Juno. And that's the way the name was chosen. Juno is the name of a lady.
But
I just stopped here to show you on your right the monument for the first cemetery on D-Day on Omaha Beach. The first American soldiers were buried around this place. The cemetery was here for just 1 week. After a week, they moved it somewhere else.
they dug the bodies up.
Yes, for 2 main reasons. First, as you can see, it's very low,
Yeah.
very close to the sea level, so it's not
Floods,
very
floods.
healthy.
High tides.
And also the worst was the fact that for the following weeks, troops were arriving here on the beach. And the first thing they would see would
Dead.
be a cemetery with their dead comrades.
Crosses, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not very good for the moral.
Motivation.
Motivation. So as soon as they controlled enough land inland, they put the bodies in another place. But we have a monument to remember that the first
one.
boys were buried here. What happened here?
Striking.
Have time to take pictures, lots of them. So let me tell you why
Sorry.
Omaha was such a bloodbath. First of all, you can see it from here. There is a bluff. Omaha is the only landing zone with a bluff. Any other landing zone? Tomorrow you go to Utah, you will see the beach, the dunes, that's it, the marshland. No bluff, nothing to scale. So Omaha is the only place at the higher ground position. Number one. Number two, here the airstrike was a total failure. They were supposed to bomb the German defense right before the first wave at 5:50. But here at 5:50, you had already many landing craft in the water. And the American government was afraid there would be friendly fire again, those friendly fire. So they ordered the pilots coming from right there to delay the dropping of the bombs by 2 seconds, 1, 2. And instead of destroying the German defense, it fell behind the lines, killing mostly cows and farmers. So when the first wave arrived here, they were facing totally intact German defense. And that's the only place where it happened. Also, you know, they were supposed to have tanks, the DD tanks.
Floating tanks.
Exactly.
But they didn't float.
So DD tanks with a floating device. It's a basic Sherman tank with a floating device, and it works fine on the lake. And they put the tanks further away in the water. So they were supposed to have 32 tanks on the first wave. On 32 tanks, 27 sunk before
Listen to that.
reaching
Five
the beach. Five made it to the
beach.
and 3 of them were destroyed within 5 minutes anyway.
Their big guns knocked them out. So that's a bad idea.
The ground troops were left on the beach without the support of their own artillery, facing totally intact artillery. So they had waves every 30 minutes, 6:30, 7, 7:30, and so forth. Each wave was somewhere between 1,500 to 2,000 men. For the first 2.5 hours, they were stuck on the beach. They were not able to move any further inland. It was an absolute bloodbath. And Omar Bradley, at 9 o'clock in the morning, considered giving up on Omaha. Seriously. And in fact, if you read the after-war reports, you would read that he canceled the 9 o'clock wave.
Kept them on the boat.
They were all kept on the boat, yes. But at 9:30 precisely, 10 men led by Captain Joseph Dawson, Joe Dawson. So this is the map of Omaha Beach. We are right here. We drove through the first road. We drove around the beach and right here. 29 Division, 1st Division. 10 men on each red dot with WN is a German strength point. WN stands for Widerstand Nest, which means nest of resistance. 15 of them. 10 men at 9:30 led by Joseph Dawson made it to the top of the bluff between WN 62 and WN 64. And they took control of WN 62 from the back, because they were designed to sustain an assault from the front, not from the back.
So they slipped around behind them and picked them off like ducks.
Yeah, from the back they took it.
Wow.
So at 9:30 a.m.
So he changed his mind.
Yeah, changed his mind. Not only he did not give up Omaha, but he ordered 2 battleships, the USS Arkansas and the USS Nevada. No, USS Texas was
Down, further down.
He ordered those 2 battleships to get closer to the coast, which was risky again because they
Big guns.
under the range of the guns. Also, here the water is very shallow, so
Tide going out.
now the risk was too high that they would be stuck in the sand
That's right.
and sitting ducks. But anyway, they got closer to the coast and they started to fire at the bluff. So basically, to do the job that was missed by the Air Force. And because of that, with a couple of friendly fires, I have to admit, one after another, along the day of June 6, all bunkers, all strong points, 15 of them were taken, all from the back. None of them was taken from the front.
Wow.
At the end of the day, the casualty were really high, low. Over 3,500 casualty, about 1,000 dead, yes, roughly. To give you an idea of the situation on the evening of June 6th, this is a map of the landing zones with Seoul, Juneau, Gold, Omaha, Utah. This line shows what was the objective for day 1, the land they were supposed to control on day 1. In yellow, that's what they actually controlled on day 1.
That was the end of the day's
At the end
success.
of the, June 6th, so that's Seoul. Juneau and Gold were the only landing zone that were able to reunite. Tiny Omaha and Utah, to give you an idea.
Pretty tough.
But they did it. That's the most important. Okay, do you have any questions?
So is those same tanks that you're talking about, are they still out there in the water?
Yes, many of them are still in the water. Yes.
'Cause I read a story that made the fishing so much better. It's
Yes.
because of those.
Yeah, because the fish can have
They
can
hide.
nest.
They hide
They nest
from the
they
big
nest.
fish. Yeah.
They nest there.
And in fact, the way the story was told, it was determined later. But I mean, they had to know the tanks didn't make it to the beach.
You have tanks, you have landing craft.
Sure.
You have lots of shipwreck, wreckage.
But during this 75 years or so, it's probably got corroded up by.
Yeah, not too bad.
Oh, really?
It's still there, but
People
now
dive on that?
Yeah, but now it's protected.
Okay.
For years, people could dive and take whatever they want.
Pick it off.
Now you
They
can do
can't
it.
cut it off. and
No,
take
no,
it with
no,
them.
it's protected.
Well, it ought to be.
Sorry?
Sacred. Sacred.
Exactly. So, what time is it? Do you want to walk on the beach for a little while?
Sure.
Sure.
So, why don't we meet in the car at 4:15?
Hey, George, look. George, look. Hey, George.
Right down there.
They jumped yesterday.
Julia, man, we'll see you back in Chateau.
Okay.
How old is he?
98.
98. 101.
Overall, he's great. He's in good shape. Now, where's he from?
Texas.
Texas. Okay. Well, that's nice. Really?
Oh, really? Wow. Our friend is in Florida. Yeah. Earl Mills.
Superhero.
Awesome. This is Omaha Beach. Beautiful day out here today. Gorgeous.
Get the roses.
I did.